The session now. Dear all students and esteemed guests and Director of Pune Business School, I welcome you all to yet another interesting and informative session organized by PCET's Pune Business School, which has always tried to bring the students and industries on one platform. This is to ensure that students actually gain in-depth and holistic knowledge about this academic and professional world. Now, this is because where they'll be getting absorbed very soon. Pune Business School is part of PCET, Pimpri-Chinchwad Education Trust, which was established in 1990 with a mission to serve the society, industry through value-added quality education from school to doctoral studies. Now, today's webinar is part of the management's masterclass series, which is based on the cryptocurrency. According to Global Financial Stability Report, which is published by the International Monetary Fund, the popularity of crypto assets is growing very fast. The market value of crypto assets surpassed $2.1 trillion. However, there are also risks associated with the spread of crypto assets. These include financial risks to the governments, systemic risks to the financial system, suggesting basically there is increased usage. By the increased usage, there can be reduced ability of the central banks to implement the monetary policy effectively. Now, India is not a stranger to cryptocurrencies. That is why the students are joining and want to know more about it, because India is fast growing into cryptocurrencies. As per the comparison platform Booker Choosers recent report on specifically India, it has become one of the highest number of cryptocurrency holders in the world. By 2021, India was actually second out of 154 nations. However, cryptocurrencies are not accepted as a legal tender in India as yet. Probably there is only one country, El Salvador, which is actually legalized this particular tender. In fact, in the budget speech in 1890, the government also said that it does not consider cryptocurrency as a legal tender or a coin, and will take all the measures to eliminate the use of crypto assets in financing illegitimate activities or as a part of the payment system. So there are a lot of two sides to the coin, which is what we are going to discuss with the experts who are present here on the cryptocurrencies. However, India is fast growing into the digital currency. RBI on its part has also cautioned the users and holders and the traders in the virtual currencies regarding various risks associated with using this. However, it is open to digital currency. Okay, so we would be discussing, as I said, pros and cons of cryptocurrencies and its application in India. For this discussion, we have two esteemed guests with us. Dr. Preetam Salvi, he's a management consultant of IBM. He's got more than 25 years of corporate professional entrepreneur and academician experience. Prior to being an associate director, prior to this IBM, he was an associate director with Ernst & Young, and he has also worked with Oracle. He's worked in different industries like FMCG, retail, IT, consulting, entrepreneurship, etc. He's an expert of cryptocurrency and hence has been called for the discussion today. Another esteemed guest with us is Dimakh Sahasrabuddhe. He's a CEO and founder of Dimakh Consultant. He's a first generation entrepreneur. He launched his consultant by the name of Dimakh Consultant at the very young age of 23. He develops, manages, and implements strategies for digital initiatives. He's been instrumental in setting up wireless networks in remote areas of India and also in Afghanistan. He's again an expert in a cryptocurrency area, and hence we would want him also to highlight this growing topic in India. So now I would, throw the floor open to the guests of today's discussion, and also students. We'll be having your question and answer sessions later after we have the guests have finished speaking about this particular topic. So I would now request Dimakh sir to basically first give an idea about what is cryptocurrency, because there is a doubt. Most of the students are not even aware that there is a they consider blockchain, cryptocurrencies, digital coin, and all of that as one But however, there is a difference, and each one is being used for the other thing. So, what is blockchain? What is Bitcoin? What is cryptocurrency? I would like Mr. Dimakh to first, give some information about this topic to the students so that they are aware of what this particular discussion is going to lead to. Now, I would rest my thing. I would request Dimakh sir to share the information.
Thank you, Minakshi, and I hope I am audible enough for everybody.
Yes,
perfect. So what I will do is that I will first share a few slides that I have prepared just to give an overview, a background about crypto. So that will open the floor and have some basic stuff cleared before we go into the further discussions. Okay. So
yes.
Just switch off my video and start my presentation. Just let me know once you see the presentation at your end. Are you able to see the presentation now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm here to talk about the myths, the facts, and actually the future of cryptocurrency. Let's begin with the concept. Okay. A simple definition of cryptocurrency, where a crypto or a cryptocurrency, whatever you call it, is a digital or a virtual currency that is secured by cryptography. And cryptography is derived from a Greek word called as cryptos, which actually means hidden. So any communication between the two recipients is a hidden format and a private transaction. That is what it is called. And cryptic, as it means, is mysterious and obscure. And adding to that, cryptocurrency doesn't rely on banks or governments to verify transactions. Instead, it is designed to work as a medium of exchange through a secure, disparate network of computers. Now, it's important to know here that cryptocurrency is not controlled by the government or any banks. And that's why it had become very popular. And that's why the governments of various countries are not comfortable adapting these parts. And when you transfer cryptocurrency funds, the transactions are recorded in a public ledger, and currency, the actual currency, is stored in digital wallets. So in short, if you see what is cryptocurrency, it has no intrinsic value, has no physical form. So though we call it as coin, Bitcoin, or whatever, you won't see it in a physical format anywhere. And its supply is not determined by a central bank. These are the three important factors behind cryptocurrency. Let's see, where did all this begin? Okay. A few of the avid readers who must have been reading various novels, books, must be aware about this term. Who is John Galt? Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not facing all of you in an open forum here, so it's difficult to communicate via Zoom, but I'm assuming you know the answer. And here it is. John Galt is a character in Ayn Rand's novel Atlas Shrugged way back in the year 1957. And John Galt was a hero representing the best of the modern civilizations in 1957. And he was a person, a designated or a fictitious person, if you can say, who created a lot of innovations from science, medical research, technology progresses and applications for the human life. That was what he was projected in the novel. Coming to today's part, Satoshi Nakamoto is today's John Galt. Few of you might have heard this name, but I'm going to give you a better insight for this. Satoshi Nakamoto is the name used by the presumed pseudonymous person who developed Bitcoin, the original crypto. So just to make you aware, even today, nobody knows who was the inventor of Bitcoin, the first original crypto. People believe he was a person. Few of them say that no, there were 4 people behind this. There was an organization behind this. But till date, it has not been disclosed who or which particular team it was. And a bronze statue has been put up in Hungary's capital, Budapest, just to remember him and make him aware that such a person or such a community existed who introduced us to this crypto world. Before we understand the crypto part, let's try and understand the history of money. Okay. And you will soon realize that entire crypto is actually based upon these fundamentals of history of our own money. Originally, if you remember, the money transaction used to happen as a barter system. So people used to trade salt, cattle, and even slaves. But the problems were that material was perishable, transportation issues, values, etc. Soon, the human beings came up with coins and paper money, and that too way back in 700 BC. Since then, there have been various formats of money. Later on, we had a paper currency which was established by the Chinese people. Eventually, a currency came into Europe, and Marco Polo is the person who has been credited by using paper currency in Europe. Soon, people realized that we need to have representative money rather than a proper paper money, which has a lesser value. The representative money was further supported by bank promises and the government to swap it for silver or gold. And that's the point where the first kind of banks fraud started happening. So in the 1600, first European notes were printed by Stockholm's Banco in Sweden and were redeemable against silver held by the government. However, the bank eventually issued more notes than the held silver, and in 1668, the bank and the system collapsed. So just to give you an insight, these issues have been happening way back in the 16th century. So it's not that we have seen banks going bankrupt or other things happening in this century. It has been already happening here. And eventually, gold was termed as the base or the foundation for the government to issue its own currency. Later on, the next version of the money came in form of credit cards, where USA was the first one to popularize those. And then credit cards became global. So it consisted of client information only to be decoded by machines. And then we have the today's generation, where the first ever online transactions started happening in 1994 when the World Wide Web, WWW, came into picture. And the first online purchase was a pizza from Pizza Hut. Okay, this is just a background for you to understand how we come towards the money part. That brings us to the present day. So cryptocurrency. In 2008, Bitcoin, the first ever digital money, was created by Satoshi. The money was made using a technology called blockchain, where the money is mined using complex mathematical calculations and heavy computers. Now, this is an important statement, and I'm going to elaborate it in the next few slides. But remember this, that blockchain was the base on which the entire cryptocurrency was done. So the first cryptocurrency that is known as Bitcoin. And how was the term coined? Bit is the most basic unit of information in computing and digital communication. I'm sure all of you are aware, like your phone memory, it is in KBs, MBs, GBs. That's what is the information base unit. And similarly, coin is the most basic unit of currency in the financial world. So cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, all those are related to information and computers and currency and financial world. Together, they form this property here. So Bitcoin, it's a unit that has been used. One Bitcoin is divisible to 8 decimal places. Okay, unit of smaller amounts of Bitcoin are millibitcoin. Now, why is this important? You will realize that one Bitcoin can be broken down into the lowest format of Satoshi to honor him is 0.000001 BTC. One Bitcoin has been broken down into so many nomenclatures here. And why? If you see this graph, okay, current value is around $38,000, and I'm talking about one Bitcoin is equivalent to $38,000 US dollars. And at one time, the highest ever rate it had gone was $64,400. So imagine, for you to just get one Bitcoin, how much fiat money or currency you need to have, like Indian rupee or a dollar is called as a fiat money. The amount of money that you will require. That brings us to the concept of blockchain. Okay. Now, blockchain is a chain of blocks that contain information. The data which is stored inside a block depends upon the type of blockchain. So let me clarify here that blockchain does not mean it is purely cryptocurrency or vice versa. Blockchain has been used at multiple places, even in digital rights, equity, intellectual property, voting, lots of stuff. And digital currency has made the maximum utilization of this technology. So what does Bitcoin and blockchain together come up with? At its most basic, a blockchain is a list of transactions that anybody can view and verify. The Bitcoin blockchain, for example, contains a record of every time someone sent or received a Bitcoin. So just imagine, so far in the blockchain technology, every transaction that has ever happened has been recorded in form of an actual ledger, digital ledger as we call it. Okay. And this is just an explanation of how a blockchain and Bitcoin works. A transaction is requested, block is represented, it is sent across the node. And I'll maybe share a few links where you will be able to go and learn more about this, because it is slightly from a technical format. Okay. But eventually through the blockchain format, a Bitcoin is generated. Bitcoin mining, you must have come across this word many times. And Bitcoin mining again dates back to our original mankind origin, where the slaves used to do mining of gold, mining of silver. The same process is followed by today's generation. The IT people who are the slaves of the IT industry today, they use heavy computers, heavy servers, programming languages to mine these Bitcoins. A technical introduction related to part fiat currency and crypto comparison. A fiat currency exists now. The currency we hold is created and validated by a Federal Reserve. Okay, that's called as the fiat currency. Indian rupees, dollars, euro, whatever you call it. They have a problem of double spending or reprinting the currency illegally. That problem is sorted in terms of a Bitcoin mining exercise that is done. And only one validation is available here. Mining was introduced as a solution to double spend problem, and I'll quickly explain this. If Amar has one Bitcoin and he sends it to Akbar and then tries sending that same Bitcoin to Anthony, the network ensures that only one transaction will be accepted. It does this through a well-known process called mining. Okay, that's the basis of why we use Bitcoin mining. And it generates, what are the two purposes that it serves? It generates Bitcoin, it confirms transactions of the cryptocurrency networks and makes them trustworthy. That is what is the important factor. So total, how many Bitcoins are available today? So Satoshi wrote a algorithm or a code which generated only 21 million Bitcoins. And today, out of those 18.9 million Bitcoins are already used, there are still 2 million Bitcoins left to be mined. So those who are tech savvy, want to explore this world, this is your time, this is your journey that you can start to earn Bitcoins through a technical format of mining the Bitcoins. Bitcoin was the first one, but today we have almost 10,000 cryptocurrencies in various formats or tokens as we call it. And the market cap is almost $2.6 trillion. That's the value, that's the worth. And this is how the $2.6 trillion have been distributed so far. It's just a glimpse of various Bitcoins and tokens and what is their current value today. A concept called as tokens versus coins. Okay, now important to understand this difference. A token represents what a person owns, while a coin denotes what they are capable to own. Just to give you a background, everyone has used a token at least once in their life, even if not in the digital format. For example, your car title or your two-wheeler is a token. When you sell the car, you transfer the value of the title to another person. However, you can't buy something else with that title. You can't say that, okay, I have a two-wheeler title in my hand, let me buy a car with that particular title. You have to exchange it with a format of a coin. That brings us to a topic that, okay, so far so many currencies, so many various formats of cryptocurrencies are existing. How many countries do actually accept it? This is a global overview of where legally it is allowed. And if you see, India has adapted a format of cryptocurrency by calling it as a digital currency or a digital coin that they will soon be launching. Okay. Till 2018, government had banned it, but fortunately in 2018, Supreme Court made a ruling that it can be used as a format of exchanging money, and government has to come up with a rules and regulations for that. The top area where you see restricted or banned, that's the area where Russia, China, all these countries are there. Though it is banned, you have already heard stories about how Russia is using crypto to counter the ban where other countries have put on Russia currency or exchanges. That's the history of it. Let's come to this important factor that, okay, fine so far that you know how crypto works, what is the history behind that. But can I buy a cryptocurrency? Can I have a crypto coin of my own? Can I own a crypto coin? So yes, legally, technically, you can have a cryptocurrency in India through a terminology called as crypto exchanges. Okay, a crypto exchange is a platform on which you can buy and sell cryptocurrencies. And you can use your dollars, your Indian rupees to actually do the transactions. And these are a few popular crypto exchanges in India. I'm sure you must have heard about their names: WazirX, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Unicorn, Zeppay, and various others. Now, let me bring you to the topic of how can you actually do this transaction online today in India. Okay, Zeppay is a sample website that I have picked up here. Through your mobile, you can easily download and do a registration here, and you will be a part of the cryptocurrency family as of now, even in India. Another way is Unicoin. You can buy and sell almost 60 various cryptos from here. A simple way to do the transaction is what I have shown here. Even from your bank accounts, you can easily do a transaction and own a coin as is in this format. To have a coin in your name, you will need to create a wallet or an account ID. And this is how it looks like. This is going to be your account number for lifelong once you become a part of the crypto family. The easiest way to buy, I have shown you a simple process. Like you can use 5,000 rupees and earn 0.02106 Ethereum network coins. Like just like Bitcoin, there is Ethereum which can be used here in India. And within 5.5 minutes, you will be a proud owner of a cryptocurrency under the Ethereum network. Okay, so this is as simple as this, currently legally available in India. Now that you have earned your crypto coins, what will you use it for? How will you buy things using your cryptocurrency? Unfortunately, in India, you do not have those many outlets, but in US, it is already acceptable legally in various outlets, right from Expedia. You can see under the food, you can go to Burger King, Subway, make a purchase. And interestingly, the last column, if you see here, Microsoft, Wikipedia, Shopify, and even AT&T, all of them have gone one step ahead and started accepting cryptocurrencies in the US. The biggest entrant ever here is Tesla. You already know the history of the owner, how he has been very, very enthusiastic about crypto. And at one point of time, Tesla actually allowed an online purchase by using Bitcoin. This is how you can actually complete a transaction in the US part. That brings me to
why not buy directly using dollar?
Should you ride the wave of crypto hype? That brings me to the last point here. Have you heard about this line anywhere? In God we trust.
This is tagline of America.
And here it is, exactly. On their dollar note, right from $20, $1 or $100, America has boldly printed "In God we trust." And I went and did some research, and what did I find out? In God we trust. Adding this line to the currency, the US President Dwight Eisenhower believed this would serve as a constant reminder that the nation's political and economic fortunes were tied to its spiritual faith. So when America says that the nation's economic fortunes, and this is, remember, even before the cryptocurrency word was even invented. Even at that time, for the legal fiat currency, America says, in God we trust. We are not responsible for any economic fortunes that we have. That is the theory behind even your regular money part. So remember this line: all investments are subject to market risk. Read all schemes related documents carefully. The most popular word you must be hearing every now and then whenever you talk about financial matters. That's the story that I had, which I wanted to showcase and discuss with you. Over to you. I'll stop my presentation now.
Thank you so much, Dimakh sir. And it was a very lovely, short and sweet of what basically cryptocurrency is all about. What is the difference between a blockchain? What is actually a blockchain? Because that's again a word which is so commonly used with cryptocurrencies. And what are digital currencies, and the history and the geography of everything, and the future of cryptocurrencies. So there are a few questions probably now that I would want both of my guests to answer and kind of have a debate on what it is all about. I would now request Preetam sir. I would want to ask one question now. Very aptly, one of the students, Roshan, has also asked that question, which I also wanted to put forward to Preetam sir. Preetam sir, can you hear me? Are you there? Hello. Preetam, can you raise the volume a bit? It's not very audible.
Yeah, can you hear me also? Is it?
I think the voice is not very clear, sir.
No, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Now, one of the students basically asked, what happens if all government come up with their own currency in the crypto format? Because as Dimakh sir said, there's no regulation. Cryptocurrency is something which has been created, and the creation can be by anyone. I can create a cryptocurrency. My government can create a cryptocurrency. We can form a company and then create a cryptocurrency. So there is no particular definition as to how and what my cryptocurrency is and how it would be regulated, because none of the government has still regulated it. They are in a very primitive stage of going about what to do with it. And so basically, how do we track it, when there is no regulation and there is no commonality between, what each country would follow. So it can go into anti-laundering, it can go into terrorism, it can go into drug trafficking. And even if India comes out with some regulation and the rest of the world doesn't come out with it or follow it, the person who wants to do it in India might go to Nepal or Bangladesh and, start, operating whatever, he wants to or she wants to do with the cryptocurrency. So, how do we have such a discipline? How a nation can get into discipline, or also how can it become an international discipline? So your views on that.
Okay. So first of all, to understand cryptocurrency in the format that it currently exists, sir has already given ground, but I think we need to double click on each of the terms. We'll come to answering your question, but before that, a little bit of precursor. So first of all, we need to understand that if there is a currency or if there is any product whose price is going up, we need to understand why in the first place is there a demand for that particular product. It could, in this case, I'm referring to Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency as a product. So that question needs to be understood, and the explanation for that is, for example, let's say the price of the US dollar goes up vis-a-vis any other currency, only because, let's say in case of India, is because when we are buying oil from the OPEC countries, we need dollars to pay. All of us need to understand that not all countries accept all currencies. And leaving aside the cryptocurrency part, if you today look at the global transactions or economy, you will realize that the need for or the rate of exchange for any currency is going up and down only because there is a need for that particular currency by by a certain country to transact with the other country. And that is how the pricing of these currencies fluctuate. Now, why we need to understand this? We need to bring this in the context of cryptocurrency and try and understand that why is the price of a cryptocurrency going up and down? Is any transaction really happening using the cryptocurrency? And the answer to that, based on my limited knowledge, and I would request all of you to please quote me only in the context of my personal view on this and not the organization that I work for, is that, in absence of cryptocurrency, how are these transactions happening worldwide? We may want to call it illegal, or we want to call it transactions which are not done through the normal currencies or accepted currencies, as we call it. Why were these transactions happening, and what were the nature of these transactions? So
Dollar and bargain.
Sorry.
Mainly, they were using dollar and dealing one thing for other. For example, petrol for arms for vehicles, and so on.
So that if you were to legalize it, it was still something where the transaction is accepted by both the countries who are transacting. Now, beyond this, let us say if you were to first of all, even before I get to that, we need to understand the concept of what is called as convertibility. In the context of India, or in the context of any country for that matter, there are two accounts. So there is a current account and there is a capital account. A current account is an account where all countries transact with each other in the context of export and import. So if I were to send, cups and saucers from India to some other country, I will obviously be getting paid. Now I could get paid in Indian rupees or any other currency that India has allowed as a medium of exchange for the proceeds to be received in India on the current account. Okay, and the list of these currencies is typically regulated by what is called as the Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India, where you will find a list of currencies which are accepted to be used as a medium of transactions when the transactions are happening on the current account. Okay. Now there is a concept of capital account where you can either send money outside of India or inside of India, or for that matter any country. But depending on country we are talking about, it will depend what is the regulation of that country in the context of the capital accountability. So if you look at India, we do not have capital accountability like in the the definition as it is defined for capital account convertibility. You can send a certain amount, I think it's about 5 lakh US dollars now, for an individual outside of India for investment in maybe bonds or any kind of a nature, which is disclosed and approved by the Central Bank of India. Apart from that, if I have to just send money outside of India or get in some money into India, it cannot be done unless there is a proper approval. Okay. So these are two things. One is the current account convertibility and the capital account convertibility. Now, in the current account convertibility, when I'm sending certain goods and products or services outside of India, I'm using India because so that it's easy for us to understand. I would typically, or for that matter any country, I would send a product outside and get money inside. So let's say I'm sending 100 rupees worth of product outside of India, but I'm actually wanting to get some 200 rupees into India. What would I do? I would get into a transaction where I would maybe do an over invoicing of a product and say that a product which is worth 100 rupees is worth 200 rupees and send it out and get money inside India. And once I get that money, because export proceeds are non-taxable, I would use that money for any purpose. Maybe I'm buying any illegal product. Maybe it could be arms, it could be drugs, it could be anything else. I think this concept fundamentally people need to understand. I will come to that. This concept you understand that the basis of a currency or some format of asset has in the form of cryptocurrency has going to exist, so that you are able to do these transactions which are otherwise regulated by the countries in the context of the normal currencies that they use. Now, when I would resort to something like over invoicing and try to get in money, there are laws in each of these countries, including India, where when I'm getting the money, I would actually be able, the government is able to assess whether what I had exported was actually of the value of 200 rupees or was it 100 rupees worth and I've got 200 rupees inside India. And then is there a suspicion around that transaction, which then kind of gets, into trying to find out what actually happened and, catch the guy who's actually doing this. The same thing can happen in reverse. I import something into the country and which is actually worth rupees 100, but I'm actually paying 200 rupees so that I can launder money from within the country outside of this country. Now, because this is not allowed, somebody has, made up some concept in this context. I feel it's a cryptocurrency where I say, okay, you pay certain money here and you buy an asset which has got a certain value outside of this country, which is similar to what money you're paying here, and I will exchange that so that there is a control over, this whole transaction. Is this understood by everybody? If there are questions around this, then we can take it and then I can move on to all the questions which are posted. But have you understood this concept?
I guess it might be new for few people, and there would be varied gradation in understanding.
Yeah.
But yes, to start with, some part of it would be understood.
So the point I was trying to make with so much, pardon my verbosity, as sir said, if you were in front of me, I probably, pause and asking of you to kind of respond. But before we even want to understand the cryptocurrency, we should try and understand why is, the money in itself getting created. What is fiat money for that matter? Sir spoke about fiat money. Every country can have a fiat money. In the earlier times, when the currency was pegged to an asset which was gold, okay, gold standard as they used to call it, unless you had a certain amount of gold, you couldn't print, money. But then countries realized that, the gold reserves were only so much, but to run the economy, you really, needed more money. And there was no track record of how much money was printed and mutilated and, torn and forgotten, etc., etc. So the government has now started creating promissory notes, which says that I promise to pay the bearer so much money, and you print notes. But when you print notes also, there is a control on that in the form of a monetary policy of the country, which means, what is a monetary policy? A monetary policy is a policy which controls the flow of money in the market. How much credit can you create? How much money can bank utilize to create credit based on the basis of the deposits that they've received, so on and so forth. There are many things inside that, but the monetary policy is important because it controls the inflation in the country. We all know the definition of inflation: too much money chasing too few goods. Now, if you're not able to control the flow of money, the whole economy would go for a toss. Okay. So these are a couple of concepts that we clearly need to understand even before we try to understand money. And therefore, I think there was a question on intrinsic value of cryptocurrency. I think cryptocurrency in itself cannot have a value. If you look at how the value of currencies also kind of get defined, it has its genesis in the theory of comparative advantage that Ricardo had postulated in the context of international trade, where a country continues to produce what they can produce best using its resources, and does not produce what it doesn't produce economically, but buys it from some other country. And when both these countries realize we exchange this, and it is much beneficial to exchange rather than produce both the things individually, that's where the terms of trade, or the equation or the equilibrium between the price of the currencies kind of gets set, and that becomes the basis. Now, you couldn't do that across so many product categories, which is why you had to use one standard. It could be gold, or nowadays every currency is looked at from the point of view of exchange with the US dollar, and US dollar kind of becomes one currency where it is pegged. But if you go to euro, you see what happens. Euro is a combination of different currencies. It's a combination of what is called as a basket of, I think, 8 currencies, and each currency has a weightage in the euro. So if you go to the try and see what is the exchange rate of a euro, there is a different formula, whereas the exchange rate for a rupee with a dollar, there's a different formula, while euro and dollar may still have some kind of an exchange rate. So my submission to all of you is that even before we try and try to attempt to understand the concept of cryptocurrency, we need to be very, very clear on understanding why in the first place there is a need for currency, why is there a need for regulation of the currency, why is there a price for any currency, and what are the concepts of the capital account and current account convertibility, and how do they impact the exchange rates. Now, because all of this, there is actually no intrinsic value for a cryptocurrency, and which is why if you look at even the countries which have accepted cryptocurrency, they are terming it as a digital asset and not as a cryptocurrency. Okay, while money can be an asset, but a cryptocurrency is defined as an asset, which means it's like a table which you buy and a table which you can exchange. That is, the context of cryptocurrency. Ma'am, you have any questions? I can stop for a while.
No, I don't have questions. I guess you have also answered few of the questions which the students were putting in the chat. So if there is more, you can go on, or I can basically put another course of discussion. Yeah.
No, I'll sir, unless you want to contribute, otherwise I can, maybe pick up another concept which, the students need to understand. So if you look at even the Indian rupee, for that matter, and you look at the history of, the rupee as a currency which is used internally, until what, 1996, when it got first devalued, and the first devaluation was approximately 66%, if I'm not wrong, and after that it got devalued a couple of times. 91 is another time when I remember, and the reason is, before it got devalued, we were not on a uncontrolled exchange rate. Before that we were on a controlled exchange rate, which means we said that the Indian rupee is going to be given to somebody for so many dollars, only if they pay so many dollars. But what we realized, that the value of our rupee vis-a-vis other currencies or assets across the world was actually going down. And what was the impact on the country? The impact was that we are primarily a price elastic economy, or a price elastic export oriented country. And unless the right price for our products is got by the people who are importing our products, we will not be able to export outside of India. And that is the reason why we wanted to kind of move on to what is called as a flexible exchange rates. And that's where, even before partial conversion of the Indian rupee, and then subsequently the full exchange, fully flexible currency of India got onto into the market. Before that, it was becoming very, very difficult. So this concept of exchange rates and what is partially exchanged, or fully pegged to a dollar, etc. These also are the terms that we need to first understand in the context of foreign exchange, and then maybe come down to the cryptocurrency, etc. Like sir said, I always feel that it's a Ponzi scheme. I always feel the whole concept of cryptocurrency is fugazi. And I think Minakshi ma'am was asking whether eventually all countries would have digital currency. So today we have digital currency, your Paytm, your UPI, all of these is digital currency, but a digital currency which is a product form, which means I can have the money in a rupee, in paper notes, I can have coins, I can also have digital currency. But the total flow of money in the market is still controlled by the government. So tomorrow I convert my 50 paisa into a digital currency, or I convert my 100 rupees into a digital currency. However, it does not mean that there is more money created in the market. It is only replacing a certain form of money. The cryptocurrency which is here is completely unregulated, completely having no base or structure or basis for getting its value confirmed. Even today, if you go to the
Let me share a different perspective here, if you just allow me.
just one point, sir.
Sure,
If you
sure,
look
please.
at just one point, and correct me
Sure.
if I'm wrong. If you look at all the currencies in the world today, also until recently, where LIBOR kind of got further, redefined, all the currencies exchange rates were based on what is called the LIBOR, London Interbank Offer Rate. And the reason for that is across all 5 exchanges throughout the world, whether it's the Japan or Europe or America or Asia, all these markets were having access to the London market at any point in time during the day. So London was the only exchange which was open throughout the day when all the markets had access, and therefore the possibility of arbitration or arbitrage profit across currencies was minimized because the LIBOR came into the picture, and that's how the whole structure of these exchanges for currencies controlled, which is absent completely in case of a cryptocurrency. Yes, sir, you had a point.
Okay. So overall, from the discussions and the chat that I see here, everybody has a say viewpoint here that cryptocurrency is illegal, uncontrolled, not that friendly. But let me compare it with the dollar and Indian rupee part. Okay. Today, $1 is 76 rupees is what is the valuation. Now, who decided that valuation? And if you go back a few earlier years, I have transacted $1 as low as like say 40 rupees as a conversion rate. Okay. So just like cryptocurrency, even in our fiat money or the regular currency transactions, the government controls, and the most powerful government today is the US government, who decide that, okay, dollar is the benchmark and rest of the countries need to follow. The cryptocurrency actually came into picture with that particular thought process, that why should government decide which country, which particular currency and at what rate it should be exchanged, and basically on what foundation. Today, we know that the gold is a benchmark based upon which the currencies can be printed by any country. Unfortunately, America prints currencies the way they want, and not just America, any other country. The minute they realize we are running out of money, you can just go ahead and print money if you don't have that kind of gold reserves with you. Okay. So the founders of crypto, or the thought process behind crypto is to correlate and counter these particular situations. Like tomorrow, one government decide, I will ban rest of the currencies that are available in the world. Only dollar can be used, only euro can be used, just the way it happened with Russia right now. So remember this, currencies in crypto definitely fluctuate, but the same logic is available and applicable even in the traditional money, even today as of now. That's the foundation.
But no traditional money will generally see a drop of 50-60% in one day.
Yeah.
The thing is, you are correlating that for the last many years together. Crypto is just a new baby. That's why Aaj and Abhi right now here, that's the thought process of the younger generation as well. Similar thought process has come in here. Why can't I control that particular format on daily basis? So what happened in the last few generations, last few years, when the actual money came into picture? If you have seen, it's just 1600, 1661, when the actual currency started floating around the world. And even now we are talking about $1, 1 rupee.
No, even before that, kings would give their own currency. So in India, we have had currencies for over 2000 years.
Yes. So the king used to decide what to do with the currency, against one currency or against one coin. Can you buy a buffalo? Can you buy a rice? Can you buy a salt? So there was always somebody who was deciding it. Today it's the government.
But okay, even in case of Bitcoin, you will never be buying something for Bitcoin. It is always pegged to $1. So let us say if I want to buy a Tesla only, the Tesla's price is always going to be in dollar, and the Bitcoin's day value will be pegged to the dollar. So it will never be a system wherein something is costing 1 Bitcoin, and no matter how much the price fluctuates up or down, it will still cost 1 Bitcoin.
See,
So I
the
give you the
answer to that
example of a
is,
real life world, but in crypto world, I am not touched the topic about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Okay, that's the place where the cryptocurrencies are actually traded, utilized, where I decide the value of my product or my service. Okay, and it could be a
Is
thing, and I can say that I am okay with half of
any
Bitcoin.
art which is present in NFT, I can simply Control C, Control V, and I also have the art now.
Yes, that's
no,
right.
no. So see, NFT is another big, bubble. So if you, I mean, I
Yeah,
follow.
NFT is a bubble just like Tulip Mania.
Yeah, yeah,
Same thing is for crypto also, just it is a bigger bubble. It
absolutely.
will take another
So
20.
if you were to look at market capitalization as a concept, do you see India's rupee being talked as a market capitalization of Indian rupee or market capitalization of the US dollar or any other country? Market capitalization is a concept, it is in
In
the
share
capital market.
markets.
It is in the
Exactly.
capital markets, debt market to be precise, where you have a limited number of shares, and those shares, for some reason, whether it's the performance of the company or whether it is, emotion or whatever drives the price of that particular product, it typically defines what is the current price, and on the basis of which you get the market capitalization. NFT also, if you look at what was it, Beeple was the first one sold, right? I think that Beeple story is also to create excitement in the market. Or the first pizza that was bought through Bitcoin is nothing but to create a attention towards cryptocurrencies and
Yeah,
say, boss,
someone bought two pizzas for 10,000 bitcoins.
you tell me who do you know anybody? Everybody who's exchanging and buying bitcoins and selling bitcoins. I have met couple of people. I advise them not to buy. People have lost money, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, in the bitcoins. Because let's come to the. I'll come to a different topic: export-import regulations of India. Now, if you were to get bitcoins and treat it as a digital asset, okay, under what, when you were to give declaration of guaranteed remittance, let's say you bought Bitcoin and you sold Bitcoins and you got money, what is the explanation that you're going to give for the guaranteed remittance under GR form in the country? There is no explanation for that. There is a lot of ambiguity in that.
Exactly.
And same case for NFT. People say that you can create your artwork, movies, videos, all the circus that you can do on the digital format, and somebody would want to buy your asset, and that asset is typically controlled by blockchain, which is basically a distributed ledger where unless two people agree, you can't transact. It's a very simple concept, blockchain. While the technology might be very complex, it's a very simple concept and it's very nicely applied in most of the cases. I will give you an example also. So NFT is also like that only. Just to give you an example, if I were to buy a sunflower by who's that guy, Van Gogh, or if I were to buy a Tayyab Mehta or a Raza, it is only one copy of that painting which I have, and which I put it in my drawing room. Somebody comes and sees it and says, okay, I like this. Would you like to exchange it or sell it? And I say that, okay, I bought it for $1,000. Would you pay me, $1,500? And I'm ready to exchange it. And that's the investment in art. But what is, if you're going to, because there is supply is limited. But in case of NFTs, everybody is creating
Even the
NFTs.
art world is a big scam, just used for money laundering.
No, which is okay. If you look at what is it, stock photos. Stock photos are nothing but a primitive concept of NFT. If I were to buy something from a stock photo, I am legally able to use that and print something or use it for some application. If I were to go and do a photo shoot, it would cost me maybe thousands of rupees. Instead of that, I buy something for 200, 300 rupees from stock photo, and I'm legally available, legally able.
No, but there is a difference. There is a difference that stock photo is still being used. These NFTs are just monkey pics.
Exactly. No. But I was trying to apply some mind to it and say that how can you make NFTs actually work? Is that you actually create something that is more usable on NFTs and people can download, and you may restrict it to a number of copies, and NFTs can still work, though they currently feel like a Ponzi or a Fugazi scheme, if it had to work. So
No, but unless you promise 100, 200 times growth, people will not come there. So it has to be a Ponzi scheme.
So whether it is a cryptocurrency, whether it is, the beds that were sold by Japan Life, or whether it is the gold coin which was sold by some other company, all of these concepts are basically created on I should not lose out on being there concept, for people. And most of the initial transactions are done and advertised so much so that everybody gets interested. And the moment you have a demand and the supply is less, the price is going to go up. That's a no-brainer, right? But what is the intrinsic need for you to have a certain currency or a coin or an NFT is something that we need to ask ourselves. In case of US dollar, if you see the answer to the question, somebody was saying why US dollar only. Out of those hundreds of countries that are there globally, most of them accept US dollar as a medium of exchange. In India also, we don't accept currency of all countries. We only accept those countries, I think 36 or odd currencies which are approved by the FedI as a medium of exchange. For any other country, if you want to export, import, we say, okay, fine, get us some dollars and we will do that. And even those transactions are done through the Nostro accounts of the banks, which are accepted by the country as banks through which you can transact. So yeah, I think I would leave.
I think, yeah. Preetam sir, you've really explained it. And I guess, my other guest has actually another appointment and another thing to take care of. So, I would end the discussion of today's cryptocurrency session. Probably we can have another session in near future, wherein we can continue the discussion. And I would appreciate students, and I would have more than that, I would appreciate my two guests, Mr. Dimakh and Mr. Preetam Salvi. Thank you so much for enlightening our students on this particular topic, which is something which was requested by the students that they wanted more to hear about it. And I would have another session probably on a bigger platform. Probably that is what we are trying to hold. In Marriott in the month of May, wherein more corporates would be part of this particular series, and we would again have enlightened students on different topics on that particular platform. So thank you, Mr. Dimakh, and thank you, Mr. Preetam, for sharing your valuable time. I would have, love to have more questions. Students are asking more questions on the WhatsApp. They're WhatsApping me, but I think we'll have to close the session now. Final word from Deepak, Mr. Dimakh and Mr. Preetam. Any two lines which you have to say, because there's a mixed confusion whether should we invest or should we not invest. Dimakh sir, would you invest in cryptocurrency? And Preetam sir, would you invest in crypto?
No. Preetam, you'd like to go in first?
No. I don't think. I would have done that by now, but I don't think it is the right time, or I think we should wait and see how it moves, if at all it does. So my take is that we should not invest in cryptocurrencies. We should also be cautious. I think there's a lot of fear that will get created where people see a lot of these unicorns, which are basically the exchanges for cryptocurrency, exchange, getting funded by VCs, etc. Please don't go by all that. Please use your caution. And if you can avoid, please don't invest.
Mr. Dimakh, your views on it.
My take on it. For the younger generation, the digital currency is going to be the future, whether we call it cryptocurrency or whatever. And as you realized, the Finance Minister of India has taken a cognizance of it, and they are accepting that this would be the future, the digital currency. It could be in the format of crypto, could be in the format of any other way. But eventually that is going to be the future, where the money laundering can eventually be controlled by a focused approach from the government. So what I am saying here, be ready for the next wave. Don't lose out on this opportunity. Work cautiously. If you are in India, the only way to go with a digital currency will be with a proper KYC documentation. So if you have a proper KYC done and you are dealing in a digital currency, that's the place to go, is my conclusion from this particular part.
Okay, thank you so much. And we would again probably have a discussion, because digital currency is again a safe currency. As Preetam sir said, there is a, I can have a hard cash or I can have a digital cash, so they both are same different forms of it. But however, crypto is something a totally different thing, there is nothing below it, so maybe crypto is something which can still be
any currency which is not backed by an asset or a promise by the government is no
be.
currency.
Yeah. So, maybe.
It will fall by over 75-80%.
Anyways, we are moving towards it. Yeah, and there would be regulations. Definitely, governments will become more active and try to have more legal, versions of it.